Putrajaya, and several other states. Yeah, not all. Yeah, but we are trying to contain it as
Gabung Brevet Pajak IAI, pilihan tepat untuk Anda. Pelatihan Brevet IAI, ahli pajak, bedah substansi, temukan solusi. Kenapa memilih IAI? Modul yang selalu update dan materi yang dilengkapi dengan pembahasan studi kasus komprehensif. Instruktur yang terjaga kompetensinya, berpengalaman dan tentu saja profesional. Apa aja yang didapat kalau belajar pajak? Sudah pasti, kita jadi tahu seluk-beluk perhitungan pajak. Menjadi kuasa hukum perpajakan mewakili perusahaan, meningkatkan karir dan menunjang profesi. Kalau ingin menjadi konsultan pajak, belajar brevet pajak juga bisa sebagai langkah persiapan USKP. So, banyak kan manfaat belajar brevet pajak? Sebagai benefit tambahan, IAI melaksanakan program kuliah umum perpajakan dengan menghadirkan narasumber dari praktisi dan profesional di bidang perpajakan. IAI juga melaksanakan gathering alumni brevet untuk senantiasa mengupdate informasi perpajakan. Kalian juga tidak perlu bingung, karena IAI menyiapkan berbagai pilihan waktu belajar, jadi dapat disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan. Bagi teman-teman mahasiswa, IAI juga memberikan harga khusus mahasiswa aktif. Selama pandemi, IAI juga tetap hadir dalam pelatihan brevet pajak secara virtual dengan menggunakan platform Microsoft Teams. Hal ini juga memungkinkan untuk dapat diikuti oleh peserta dari seluruh Indonesia. Dan, untuk diketahui, pelatihan brevet pajak terapan IAI juga diperkuat dengan MOU antara IAI dan Direktorat Jenderal Pajak. IAI juga memiliki kompartemen akuntan perpajakan. Yang salah satu kegiatan rutinnya adalah menyelenggarakan regular tax discussion yang mengupas isu perpajakan terkini. Pelatihan brevet IAI hadir di 6 Knowledge Center di Jabodetabek. IAI Knowledge Center Menteng, Moy, Serpong, Kedoya, Fatmawati, dan Sumarekon, Bekasi. Selain itu, dengan standarisasi nasional, pelatihan brevet IAI juga hadir di beberapa IAI wilayah di Indonesia. Nah, jadi tunggu apa lagi? Ayo segera daftar pelatihan brevet pajak terapan IAI. Pelatihan brevet IAI, ahli pajak, bedah substansi, temukan solusi.
Malaysia Institute of Accountant, who also the president of Malaysia Certified Public Accountant, Bapak Dwi Setiawan Susanto, the council member of IAI, Mr. Chari, the board member and senior advisor DAF and PELPS, Ibu Ezarni Husin, the executive director of IAI, Auki Pratama, the executive director of ASEAN Federation of Accountant, and our moderator, Ms. Lim Finni, the council member of MIA. Ladies and gentlemen, Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival is the largest and the most prestigious annual festival for the IAI students member and outstanding accounting students in Indonesia. APAFEST aim to create a connection between the profession, industry, and the best accounting students and graduates in Indonesia. After the successful event, the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountant is proud to host this year Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival with the theme Scanning the Horizon, Embracing the Future in Virtual. APAFEST 2020 is held virtually from September 12th and will culminate a joint session together with the Finance and Business 2030, FinBiz 2030, a joint initiative between One Young World and Chartered Accountants International, Chartered Accountants Worldwide in November 10, 2020. It will be coincidence with the commemoration of International Accounting Day with the theme Better Leadership, a Better Future. A joint session will present sharing from prominent leaders and profession and a panel discussion from great panel of young professionals from around the world with strong emphasis on those making difference in Indonesia and the Asian region. Ladies and gentlemen, to open the webinar, let us hear the opening remarks from the President of IAI, Professor Mardiasmo. Professor Mardiasmo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Monica. Yang saya hormati Bapak Firmansyah Nazarudin, Chairman of the Finance Profession Supervisory Center of the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia. Our honorable panelist, Dr. Bernadette Singh, newly elected President of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants or MIA, Mr. Chari, Board Member and Senior Advisor of DAF and PELPS, Bapak Dwi Setiawan Susanto, Council Member of Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia or IAI, also our panelists, our moderator for today, Ms. Lim Finni, Council Member of MIA, leaders of professions from Indonesia, Malaysia, and our neighboring ASEAN member states, my fellow accountants, our beloved accounting students, and aspiring accountants. ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon of you and selamat sore. On behalf of the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountants, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, proudly brought together by IAI and MIA. I would also like to take this opportunity again to congratulate President Singh for his appointment as the new president of MIA. I look forward to strengthening our organization's positive relationships under his leadership. My appreciation also to Bapak Firmansyah for allowing his time to participate in this joint webinar and to share with us some of his thoughts on the future of our profession, especially from the perspective of the Indonesian Regulatory Authority. As with the history of Indonesia and Malaysia, IAI's relationship between MIA goes back to a long way. IAI and MIA are founding members of the Asian Federation of Accountants, or AFA, and the International Federation of Accountants, or IFAC, both coincidentally organized in 1977. Along the years, both organizations have taken the leadership role in and sit in various positions for AFA and IFAC. We value our close relationship with MIA as part of the regional camaraderie that we have built together with professional accountancy organizations, or PAOs, of the Asian member states. I certainly hope today's webinar will be a new beginning and the next chapter of our organization collaborative effort to provide accountants in Indonesia, Malaysia, and in the region with high-quality professional development resources. This webinar would not be possible without the full support of our strategic partner, the ASEAN Federation of Accountants, or AFA. I look forward to strengthening our cooperation with AFA and our fellow PAOs in the region, and hope that this bilateral collaboration can continue to be conducted periodically in the future. This webinar is held as a part of our continuing Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival 2020, or APA Fest 2020. The festival theme are scanning the horizon, embracing the future, reflects our aspiration to prepare young and future accountants in Indonesia for the future. I'm sure many of you were with us last week, tuning into our webinar with the Deputy President of IFAC, Alan Johnson. For those who missed this, I would like to encourage you to visit our APA Fest 2020 portal or YouTube page to access the recording of all webinars that we have conducted. Today, we are welcoming our friends from Malaysia, who will be discussing about the future relevance of our accountancy profession. This fits nicely with overall objective of APA Fest 2020, as relentless digitalization, uncertainties, and constant changes require greater innovation and agility by the profession to ensure accountants remain relevant. I look forward to listening to the panel's discussion and get more insight into MI's vision for future-proofing the profession and how this can be replicated in the region to support national and regional economics and social development. I'm also pleased to have Bapak Dwi Setiawan in the panel, who will share about our continuous efforts in working towards the objective on Initiative 6.1 to strengthening the role of IAI in improving public trust towards business and public entities by preparing future ready professional accountants. Ladies and gentlemen, I will end my remarks with an invitation for all of you to join us in our joint session with the Finance Business 2030 or FinBiz 2030 on November 10. Don't forget, on November 10, to conclude our 2-month series of activities under the APAFest 2020. Been there together with thousands of young and aspiring accountants from around the world to network, learn, be inspired, and celebrate the International Accounting Day. I would like to once again express our highest of appreciation to MIA, our panelists, and moderator for today. I hope you enjoy this webinar and the rest of our APAFest 2020 activities. Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan selamat sore. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Professor Mardiasmo, for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue our next agenda, let us watch the semifinalists of APACHEM 2020. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 11 semifinalists for the APACHEM 2020. And at the end of this webinar, we will announce the finalists of APACHEM 2020. APACHEM is a business and accounting competition in group for accounting students. So this is the moment to wait. Do not go anywhere and waiting for the announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, now let us hear the keynote speech delivered by Bapak Firmansyah Nazaruddin. For Bapak Firmansyah, the floor is yours.
Honorable Professor Mardiasmo, as Chairman of the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountant. Honorable to all panelists, Mr. Dr. Vanderjeet Singh as President of Malaysia Institute of Accountant, Mr. Chari PVT as Member Board Senior Advisor Duff and Phelps, Pak Dwi Setiawan Susanto as a Council Member of IAI, and distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and best wishes for all of us. First of all, allow me on behalf of Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia to wish you warm welcome to the APAFest 2020 webinar series. Our presence in this event is an important step towards enhancing our knowledge and strengthen the spirit of cooperation and solidarity among fellow accountants. Ladies and gentlemen, APAFest is a creativity festival that will bring together leading companies in Indonesia with the best candidates for professional accountants, and hopefully there will be connections and symbiotic mutualism between professions, industry, as well as the best students and graduates majoring in accounting in Indonesia. The creativity has always been attached to young people, and this event will empower young people as well as related industry with knowledge and the skills they need in order to shape the future of the nation. Also, they are really expected to contribute in this era of globalization. In the globalization concept, the state boundaries has been eliminated by the idea of economic integration. In 2003, Asian leaders agreed to build on the momentum to broaden and deepen regional cooperation through the establishment of Asian Economic Community. This initiative envisioned ASEAN as a single market and production base, a highly competitive region with equitable economic development and fully integrated into the global economy. Despite the euphoria of economic integration, each ASEAN member states urgently need to address the rapidly growing digital technology. ASEAN plays a significant role as the hub of Asia. However, there are many rooms of improvement that we can make that part of accountancy professions. The issue of Industrial Revolution 4.0, financial services, liberalization, mobilization on professional accountants, policies, and etc. As per our theme, in scanning the horizon, embracing the future, I would like to emphasize on how important to embrace digital innovation, as this is something that we cannot ignore anymore. Science, technology, and innovation are indispensable for our response to our future economy. Equally important is our collaboration in this great effort. This webinar is only one of the many ways to improve accountancy professional knowledge by exchanging information among fellow accountants, and we hope it will also broaden our point of view on how accountancy profession could do boost economic. Distinguished participants, as one of the Asian member states, Indonesia is fully committed supporting MRA, and in 2014, we have signed MRA on accountancy services. Following the signing of this MRA, Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia has appointed by IMS and dedicate ourselves as Permanent Secretariat for ASEAN CPA Coordinating Committee, and agreed to financially support the ACPAC Secretariat in Indonesia. Through this certification, an accountant in ASEAN member states is legally allowed to provide accountancy services. So, the ASEAN CPA doesn't have to undergo extensive retraining or requalification procedures to work intra-ASEAN member states. Currently, there are 7,783 registered ASEAN CPA in ASEAN. This number will grow bigger as accountancy profession developing day by day through this event and many other accountancy professions. We hope many accountants will also taking parts in promising program, the ASEAN CPA. Distinguished participants, the roles of various accounting professions are very diverse and create harmony in supporting national economic growth. Clearly, the accounting profession has very significant role in economic system of the country. The existence of professional and accountable accounting profession can encourage the creation of good governance, both in private and public institutions. Through the implementation of the good governance, institution will be able to make efficient resource allocation so that they will have the good performance and can contribute optimally to the economy. This condition will create a sense of confidence for business or investors regarding the economic conditions of a country. To become a professional accountant, we are required not only to have technical competence, but also requires skills, namely, first, professional skills such as intellectual, interprofessional, and communication professional and organization. Second, professional values, ethics, and attitudes. This is needed to order and sharpen quality of service provision by accountant and as an adaptation to the use of technology in the future where technical competence will be easily crushed by technological such as big data, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. Therefore, a professional accountant must also be equipped with the professional skill such as how to process, organize, and deliver service, as well as the ability of professional values, ethics, and attitudes in sharpening his analysis as an agent of transparency and accountability in entity. Distinguished participants, to conclude my speech today, I have a quote. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. We hope that all attendees and contributor will gain a lot of useful and valuable information in this webinar. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas and scaling up of good practices. I wish you all very success webinar. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, for the e-certificate, we would like to ask you to join our survey and to enter the keywords that I will share to you at the end of the webinar. So you should wait until the webinar is over to get the right keywords and to fill the survey. And before we move to another agenda, let us hear the semifinalists, the announcement for semifinalists of APA Best Paper 2020. Congratulations to all the semifinalists who make to a semifinalist round. So good luck for the final round on November 9th, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next agenda is discussion. Before we start the discussion, I will introduce you to our panelists and also moderator. So let me read you a brief CV. The first is from our moderator, Ms. Lim Fan Mi. Lim Fan Mi is council member of Malaysian Institute of Accountants. She is also the chair of the ACCA Malaysian Advisory Committee. Finmi was previously a partner with Deloitte Southeast Asia. She was also the former head of Audit Oversight Board, Securities Commission Malaysia, and was one of the founding management team member of the AOB. In addition, she also served as a project advisor to the Securities Commission covering various capital market projects and activity involved in international and ASEAN audit oversight activity. Vinny holds a master in e-commerce from Charles Sturt University, Australia. She is a fellow member of SCCA UK, member of the ASEAN CPA, and member of the Financial Planning Association Malaysia. Next one is our first panelist, Dr. Virendrajit Singh. Dr. V is the president of Malaysia Institute of Accountants. He is also president of Malaysian Institute of Certified Public Accountants and a non-executive chairman of Tricor Service Malaysia SDN BHD. He was past president of the Chartered Tax Institute of Malaysia from 2007 until 2010. Acknowledged as a leading expert in accountancy and taxation, he has over 30 years of diverse experience in fields of accounting, taxation, and commerce. He has served in the Inland Revenue Department, University of Malaysia as an associate profession, Arthur Andersen and Ernst & Young as a tax partner and executive director, and authored several influential and authoritative tax publications. Dr. V also sits on the boards of Malaysian Rating Corporation, Berhad, AM Bank, Berhad, and UMW Holding Berhad. He is also an adjunct professor at Monash University, Malaysia, and the current chair of the Monash Business School Industry Advisory Board. Globally, Dr. V contributes his expertise as a member of Commission and Tax of the International Chamber of Commerce based in Paris, a member of the Board of Trustees of the International Bureau of Fiscal Documentation based in Amsterdam. Our next panelist is Mr. Charity VT. Chari was Group Chief Financial Officer at Axiata Group Berhad until retiring in 2016. Subsequently, he has been taking senior advisory and consulting assignments, including with the List Infrastructure Company in Malaysia, a global valuation company, and high-tech semiconductor fabrication company. He is a board advisory member of the communication company and an analytics and software company. Prior to the Axiata Group, he was vice president of sales for Asia Pacific and Japan at HP Financial Service and has served HP for over 20 years. He holds an MBA from State University of New York at Buffalo and is fellow member of Chartered Institute of Management Accountants UK and associate member of Institute Chartered Accountants and the Institute of Coast and Works Accountant of India. He is an advisory member of MIA subcommittee and advisor to the UK-based listed software company. Our last but not least panelist is Bapak Dwi Setiawan Susanto. Dwi Setiawan Susanto is a member of IAI National Council from the 2014 until 2018 and the director of Academic and Learning Technology of Audit Board of Republic of Indonesia. Previously, on the period 2010 and 2014, he also held the position of council member IAI, who was assigned as the coordinator of IAI Image Enhancement Field. In addition, career employees at the Supreme Audit Agency are a member of the SAP IAI and USAAP. Since mid-2014, Dwi has held the position of head of the BPKRI Education and Training Center. He is Bachelor Accounting graduate from Diponegoro University, Master degree complete in Universitas Indonesia, and PhD in Accounting from University of Brawijaya. Ladies and gentlemen, now I will pass this panel session to our moderator, Ms. Finley. Finley, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Monica, for the great introduction. And I also wanted to thank Bapak Firmansyah, Chairman of PPPK, MOF, and also for his keynote speech, also to Professor Mardiasmo, President of IAI, for your welcoming remarks. So again, welcome to the panel session. I'm Lim Fanny, Council Member of MIA, your moderator for today's session. Selamat sore and a very good afternoon to all our participants. Right. I'd like to start this conversation on a very positive note. The future is always bright. And I think what Bapa Firmansyah mentioned, accountants contribute to an economic growth of the country. Now, adaptation is key to success. Now, just to share a little bit of my background, as you have heard, I came from professional practice. I went to do some consultancy work into regulatory, and then back to professional practice, contribution to governance, digital transformation. And I'm so sure our distinguished panelists themselves experience the same in their own career evolution. Now, so the thing about accounting is our skill sets are versatile. Accountants seem to portray their adaptability to changes, and that's proven historically. Now, in fact, there's never a time that we stop learning, where the standards change rapidly, and you've seen it yourself, right? Legal regulatory changes, business models evolve, which actually impacted our role, but we adapted and we continue to progress and look ahead. Now today, as the title itself suggests, the future relevance of the accountancy profession, I see this as great opportunity for aspiring accountants. And even more, that they can play a bigger role. We are in the know that mega trends such as technology, digitalization, and to be honest, we're already part of the journey, right? So that being the major force transforming the world of work. We cannot also forget there are other factors such as globalization, changing business models, with greater call for value creation. Now, changing expectations of individuals at workplace, shifting the social norms and values, even new types and levels of connectivity, demographic change. And the most recent current developments of what we are facing right now, COVID-19 pandemic, and obviously climate crisis. Now, we also cannot forget that we continue to focus on sustaining public trust towards business and public entities. So here in this forum, Malaysian Institute of Accountant and Ikatan Accountant Indonesia are committed to collaborate with diverse stakeholders to continuously map out the journey for future relevance of accountancy profession. There are also already research and even thought leadership from various professional bodies that show opportunities, and all these opportunities of future accountants' role. Now we'll hear from our distinguished panelists because they come from various backgrounds, professional practice, business transformation, taxation. They'll share their thoughts and insights on this topic. So we will focus again, this panel discussion, we'll focus on 7 broad themes. And we have also incorporated some of the questions that were raised by participants earlier on. So first, we'll talk about overview, perspective, and expectation of the role of future accountant. Then we will go into the new normal, which is how COVID-19 has changed the purpose and role of accountants. Then we look at mega trends, digitalization, data, technology. And then we want to talk about skill sets and competencies and the values of accountants. Now, values of accountants, which are fundamental, trust and integrity, which we surely will talk about that. Then we talk about value creation. What about the role of accountants in sustainable organization? And then we conclude with challenges and opportunities. So again, this conversation will last for about 1.5 hours. And if you have any additional questions, we'll take it from there till the end of the session. So let me start the conversation by turning to Dr. V. Again, congratulations being the new president of MIA. What are your views? If you could give your brief overview and perspective about future relevance of accountancy profession, how does the horizon look like? Over to you, Dr. V.
Right. Thank you, Fanny. And I just like to pick up one word from what Fanny has mentioned in opening remarks, versatility. And really, accountancy is all about versatility. And you have to be versatile. There's no such thing as living in a static world. And that reflects as well in accountancy. And I just like to say that there is no doubt that the accountancy profession and accountants will continue to be relevant. The question really is about various professional organizations assisting members in guiding them towards providing the necessary tools so that they become more relevant in the future. So I certainly am positive that everything in the future will be a bit different, but the fundamentals are still there. And in that context, it's like seeing the careers of all the panel members as well. How our careers have moved across over time, and how we have moved from, some of us, from practice to commercial sector, and like myself, I've been an academic, and then I moved out to practice, and then I started my own practice after that, and now I'm sitting on various boards and being in the commercial sector. So the answer is very clear. Relevancy is definitely there. The only thing that changes is the tools with which we need to use in order to remain versatile and remain relevant, in a sense, to provide value to our clients and to the country, depending on what your particular areas of expertise are. And I think we all know there's the various aspects within accountancy, the auditing aspects, the accountants in commerce, the academics, and then the tax advisors, internal audit, and so on. So everyone has got relevance. And perhaps as we discuss later along the various themes, we can then add a little bit more in terms of depth, in terms of what do we mean about all these things that we're talking about. So there is definitely a future, no doubts about it. So aspiring accountants, don't worry about anything. The only thing you worry about is the fact that you now may not need to do the numbers yourself, collating figures, because you got software all over the place, you got technology to do that. And that's great, because then it means that we apply our minds to making decisions, judgments, and able to analyze things and actually make our profession even better in terms of being able to predict what's going to happen, predict how things are going to turn out, and guide our clients in the right direction. So I think that few words, Penny, I think that's my opening remarks to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renderjit. Indeed, it was very, very good. It was the overview that is given that provides a lot of, context for our discussion subsequently. So if I could move on to Pak Dwi, if you could share your perspective. Over to you, Pak Dwi. Sorry, Pak Dwi, I think your microphone is not on. Could I mute it? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fanny. Our chairman, Professor Madiasmo, all panelists, and also our colleagues from management of IIA. This is very interesting. Yeah, we are in the not only change but also rapid change. Yeah, very rapid change. And the aspiring accountant, in my opinion, how we can not only adapt with this change, but also how we can create our future. So IIA, Indonesian Institute of Accountants, we have what we call as 6.1 initiative, yeah, that we try to predict the future, yeah, about this digitalization, about this rapid change in our profession, how the role of in our institute or our profession, not only in business but also in public, yeah, because in this rapid change, how we adapt, yeah, with this is very important role from our profession to make some suggestions, some advice. We can access the information and also knowledge. So this is the era of intangible asset, yeah, not like in revolution industry, yeah, still in tangible asset, yeah, but we are in the era of intangible asset, the knowledge, yeah, and how as a accountant professional we can manage this knowledge and give some advice, some problem solving, some creating value. So our knowledge is not only about accounting, not only about finance, but we must have some multidiscipline approach. We must know about the policy, public policy, about the economics, about the some issues in digitalization like blockchain and also big data analytics. Yeah. So how this transformation, our organization, our institute can adapt with our curriculum for education, with our not only hard or technical skills, but also soft skills. So if there is so many problems, there is aspiring accountant can solve. Not only solve, but also give some advice to adapt and to understand the future. So don't worry about the change. We can manage if we have the system, if we have adaptation with this kind of change. This is our overview about your first sharing. Thank you.
So thank you, Padre. I think on a broader theme is accountants today create better future accountants. And I think the Institute is actually, telling us that how they're actually facilitating that. And that's great to hear because we've got a lot of aspiring accountants out there. And we know that, we all will move this together. Now, over to the next panelist, Mr. Chari. I know Mr. Chari comes from a different background, commercial, and is into business transformation. So before we get there, perhaps you give a little bit of a view of what do you think about future accountants look like. There will be a presentation by Mr. Chari, but if you could provide that overview first, that would be great, and then proceed with your presentation. Over to you, Mr. Chari.
Thank you, Kelly. We are in a very exciting time now, and I fully agree with Dr. V when he said that. I've been working for the last 42 years. And then some of you will be probably half the age of my experience in a way, sitting there. And I can tell you the life is a lot better moving forward. Our job is, book closing, treasury, tax, credit collection, M&A, business control, maintaining the highest ethical standards, providing the best governance, business partnership, right? And, 20, 30 years back, most of the work was done manually. And it was all done through spreadsheets. Analytics is not something new for us. Analytics, we've always been doing analytics. We've always been number crunching. But as technology gets better and bigger, our tools are getting better too. That's exactly what Dr. V said, that the tools are getting better and we can do a lot better than what we were doing before. So our job is going to be a lot more interesting. Again, that's exactly what I'm going to sort of demonstrate, probably the slides that I had. Fanny, thank you for giving me the 20 minutes. I'll quickly run through some of those slides. And I'm just making sure that I don't overrun it in a way. So I hope you can see my slides. Now, I think we are expected to be value creators for the organization. Book closing is important. I'm not saying book closing is not important at all. Book closing, ethically closing, making sure that we report the right numbers is the hygiene factors. Business controls, making sure that credit collection happens in time, making sure that the balance sheet is tight, and we collect money from the banks to sort of run the operations. All that stuff are hygiene factors. And the expectation as we move up the value chain, and this is where the job is even more interesting, then you need to have a solid foundation, and then we can move into this journey of value creation. And there will be a fair amount of interest around technology and how the technology is moving. But fundamentally, how can we use technology to do our job even better is what I'm going to probably share. We are living in surreal and unprecedented times, no questions at all. Look at the amount of COVID cases. It has impacted about 210 countries, and literally about 47.2 million population. ADB expects the economic loss to be close to about 11 trillion. There's record unemployment today, huge fiscal deficits all across, and every country is offering some stimulus packages. It's close to about $5 trillion in a way. And the question is, are we going to have a U curve recovery or a V curve recovery or L curve recovery or a W curve recovery? So we can possibly think about some of them. Now, people are extremely worried that this has impacted us so much that it will take us a long time to recover. Let me give you an example. And this slide I picked up from SoftBank, actually. When they announced their results, they showed this to us. In 1929, there was a Great Depression. The share market came down by about 90%. It took 25 years to recover. 25 years to recover. The question is, are we also going through a similar process now? Right? Now, one major difference between what happened then and now is this. It's simply the recovery from 1929 Great Depression was led by new industries then, which means that I got to go buy land, machinery, I got to take care of supply chain, I got to put in capital, and I got to build the machines, automobile, electronic products, oil, manufacturing. One of the reasons why it took 25 years is because the recovery of 1929 Great Depression was led by new industries. However, today, the recovery from this pandemic will be led by new technologies. And you're seeing it today. I'm sitting in Malaysia, you guys are in Indonesia, there are a bunch of guys in Australia. We are all sitting in a meeting and discussing as though we are close by, we are in the same room, which is amazing. Actually, the online meeting, Zoom market capitalization was $40 billion about 6 months back. And today it is at $160 billion. So you can see the amount of movement that has happened in the usage that's been happening. Food delivery, online education, most of your kids are sitting at home and still going through the education process. So online medical care, online shopping, this is just shot up. Online shopping is shot up, and video streaming services. So fundamentally, the world is changing, and it is for good. I don't think, today I'm a lot more productive than I was before. If I have to attend a meeting with Fenny, for example, for an hour, I got to get up, take a shower, wear my suit, whatever, shirt, tie, and I have to walk down, take my car, drive all the way, park the car somewhere, and then go for a 1 hour meeting. I end up spending 4 hours. And today I'm spending that 4 hours in front of this terminal attending meetings. So it doesn't mean that the physical touch is not important. But if I've seen her first time, second time, third time, fourth time, I don't need to be there. So productivity has improved a lot, and it will continue to improve. There are lots of benefits to the recovery that is happening. Now, our job is getting a little more interesting, and this is where our jobs are twofold. One is short run. Short run, there are pains all across. Right? There's pain, and how do I make sure that my company survives better? Right? And so, what is our responsibility? Apart from maintaining the books and treasury, taxes, and business controls and all that stuff, we need to have a sustainable organization, and we primarily provide the assistance to make sure that the organization survives well. First and foremost, this is a short-run chart. There are about 5 boxes, and I won't be able to talk about each of the boxes, but fundamentally, bring back your revenue and customers. Suddenly, the CFO of an organization, or you're a middle-level manager supporting a business, or even as a person who is just starting up a career, you're responsible for bringing ideas, bringing strategy to bring the customer back. Look at a few examples. It's a little funny example, but it just sends you a message that Louis Philippe is a branded shirt manufacturer, and today they are moving into masks, and that's how they go and increase their revenue, right? And then look at this gym. Generally they just close up the gym, and now they've got this bubble, and they bring in the customers. They bring in confidence to the customers so they can come back. And even Lufthansa is stripping open all their seats and converting them into a cargo so that they can bring back revenue. Now, I think our job is getting a lot more exciting. It is not just going to be closing books, which is important, which is absolutely important. Making sure that the governance is right, absolutely important, but a little more. So all of us are expected to start thinking like a CEO, getting closer to the business, and act as a CFO. And that's where the world is moving. Now, the disruptions are happening all over the place. I was very surprised. And again, this is interesting. Like at one point in time, this is not a role of a finance person at all. And today, sustainability is on top of the list for a finance person. Right? Imagine Mercedes-Benz comes and says that, look, I'm going to sell my car on Amazon.com. And again, I had this conversation with Simon Darby about a year and a half back. And immediately Audi came back and said, we're doing it on Lazada, for example. So I have swanky workshops, showrooms all across the world. And what am I going to do? So can I convert this so-called brick and mortar company into a click and mortar company? And what do I need to do to make myself sustainable, profitable, and at the same time? And so this is where the digitization came in. We spoke very well about digitization, and I'll run through some of them. Now, in the long run, so once you survive for the next 6 months, next 6 months will be tough. Some industries are impacted a lot more. Some industries are not as much impacted. It's benefiting, especially on the e-commerce side and all stuff. But most of the brick and mortar companies are struggling. So as long as you go and sustain for the first 6 months, right? Whether it's bringing back your revenue, digital transformation, we'll talk a little more about it later, and proactively engaging with your customers, employees, and your supply chain. And again, as a finance community, suddenly you go and talk to your customers to see whether they're going to be surviving in the next 6 months or not. There's no point supplying a lot of stuff to them when you know that they're not going to give you back the money, right? So proactively engaging with your supply chain and customer is going to be important. And finally, managing cash. Cash is going to be king for the next 6 months or 8 months. It has always been king, but even more important in the next 6 months. And some of the stuff that the finance community is doing or the accounting community is doing is phenomenal here. They're going back to their suppliers and saying that, look, I'm ready to pay you, but I need about 5% discount. Similarly, can you pay me your accounts receivable, and I'll give you a 5% discount, just give me back the money. So I need the cash quickly. And in some cases, they say that, look, I'm going to defer my capex. I don't want it now. In some cases, there are assets which are sitting there idle for a long time, and they're going back to them and saying that, look, this asset I bought about 2-3 years, fixed asset, which I bought 2 years back, 3 years back for a customer. The customer changed his mind. And so I'm going to sell it and make money, bring back the cash into the company. So the cash conservation committee is going to be a lot more important. CEO is expecting finance to play, or accountants to play a significant role in making sure that the organization is sustainable and at the same time you conserve cash. So the first 6 months will be tough, but moving forward, and this is where the interest is, what's going to happen for the next, after having sustained to 6 months, can you thrive, and how can you thrive? So to me, there are 3 elements to it. One is a sense of purpose. And again, there are more than one stakeholder for any organization. We can separately talk about this topic, but fundamentally, it is thinking beyond profitability of the organization is important. Second piece is around digitization. And again, within digitization, what is meant by business model? Again, Dr. V spoke about business model, but we spoke about business model. Now, and I'll give you a few examples. That's the only way we understand what this is all about. Otherwise, these are all big jargons, very nice ones. Then digitizing the operation, radically simplifying the process, embracing technology and analytical expertise. Now, all this, a finance person can do a much better job. An accountant can do a much better job because we are trained to think logically, and anything that we do. And my job is to give you examples and get you convinced. And finally, data visualization and storytelling. As accountants, we have been brought up to be conservative. We have been brought up to be introverts. We have lots of ideas, fantastic, intelligent ideas, but we don't go and express ourselves. And so moving forward, data storytelling and influencing strategy is going to be an important trait for us to be successful. Right? So let me focus on the second piece, which is digital transformation. What is digital transformation? Where are we using the blockchain and all that stuff? So to me, the digital transformation has got 3 pillars. One is a business model. What is meant by business model? I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Radically simplify the business. In those days, it is checking the checker, checking the checker, checking the checker, and those days are gone. Right? Radically simplify your business. If you look at Uber, for example, you go sit in the taxi, you go all the way. I'm most of the time when I go to the airport, pre-COVID time, I'll be sleeping on the car, and when I get down, they say, "Sir, airport has come. Can you get down?" And I get down, I close the door, and pump, I get an invoice. So literally, I don't even have to take my wallet out. It's so simplified as a business. So I think every business has to start thinking like, if I'm Uber, what would I do? If I'm Airbnb, what would I do? And the third piece is around digitization. But all the three triangles are sitting on data-driven culture and embracing technology. I'll spend a little bit of time here, maybe 2-3 minutes, and then I can close. One is business model. Like, what is meant by business model? Rolls-Royce goes and sells their engine, aircraft engine, not to say Garuda, not for $75 million. Pay me $35 million, $40 million. No. What they do is they say to Garuda that pay me 1,500 for every hour of flight. Like and there's a minimum guarantee, obviously. The reason as to why they do that as a business model is they know that for the next 15 years, the maintenance associated with it is already built into. Otherwise, that maintenance business will go to somewhere else. So business model playing a significant role in sustaining your organization. Second example, an insurance company says that, look, for a truck owner, I'm going to charge you insurance premium based on the number of hours that you're on the road. Not based on, you got a truck and I'm going to charge you so much money. And so if you apply for more number of hours, I'm going to charge you more. If you're not going to run it as much, I'm going to charge you less. Right? The low-cost airline business model is very interesting. Like AirAsia is also a great example. The fourth example could be a company called Dell. And I used to work for Compaq at one point in time. Compaq was an excellent brand. And by simply changing the business model from being indirect to direct, Dell was so successful. And even today, these guys are successful in Compaq died. So we can just sit there and talk about it, but business model, and who can think about business model? And by change of business model, what's the impact of that on the top line, the bottom line, and the ROIC can all be done very nicely by the accountants. So this is one of the reasons why I'm saying that our job is getting a lot more interesting. Second is on the radical simplification of business. Now, I go to Apple. Great example is Apple for radical simplification. My phone isn't working. So I go to somebody and say that, look, my phone isn't working. My speaker, there's some problem. Can you check? The guy is not going to check. The only question he asks is this. Is this within warranty? If it is within warranty, they give you a new unit and go back. It is not as though there are 6 people checking what you're saying. It is not as though there are about 7 machines which are sitting behind to check whether what he's saying is right or wrong, whether I can fix it. Nope. Radically simplify the business. In most of the cases, I find that a bot answers. Right? When I was in London, Uber was charging me a cancellation fee. I sent a note within 2 seconds of my pressing the button. It said, we are waiving your cancellation fee. Thank you for using Uber. It is not as though somebody prints it and reads it, goes to his boss and say, hey, can I give this £9 waiver charges? No, they don't do it. It's bot which does it. So radically simplify your business if you want to sustain for a longer period of time, and digitize. And again, one example for digitization is this simply I had a call center. I was also a BOC member of Excel. We had about 1,500 people in the call center. When you look at all the calls that are coming in the call center for a telecommunication company, we had about 1.8 million calls. And if I look at it, literally 10 or 8 or 9 questions kept repeating. 80% of the questions are all these 8. So you convert that into an application, you push it into your handphone, and now, today we have less than 200 people on the call center. Can you imagine using analytics, using data? And this is the hypothesis that we are supposed to bring. And this is exactly what Dr. Viv was saying, that our job is to think a little more. Hypotheses. Another great example, please go to the website and look at this. UPS in the US, which is a parcel service, came out with a policy which says that, look, they drive on the right side of the road. They said, I will never turn left. No left turn policy, which is completely counterintuitive. From a distance A to B, it takes only 1.5 kilometers. But with this no left turn policy, it takes about 3 kilometers. Still, they save $200 million on fuel, and they are a lot more productive. Can you imagine? And this is exactly what Dr. V said, that our job is getting to be a lot more hypothesis builders and thinkers rather than kind of massive doers. So I think we'll talk about the storytelling. This is getting to be a lot more interesting. And I can tell you that this is a beautiful statement. Torture the data and it will confess to anything. And who can torture the data better than an accountant or a finance person? So you are in a very good position compared to, and I'm fully qualified to say this because I've seen manual accounting. I've seen manual ledgers to an automated ledger to where it is today. And I'm also spending a fair amount of time in terms of digitization also, which also tells you where we are heading. Now, the messages are as follows. Think like a CEO, act like a CFO. Manage disruption. In the short run, be a part of the transformation. You have a right to sit at the table along with the CEO and all the other CXOs and be a part of the strategy. Right? Innovate business models. There are so many intelligent business models that are existing. Ignite changes. Initiate, embrace technology. Right? And we'll give you a few examples later on. And finally, future-proof your skills. Go back and understand what technology means. Now, it does not mean, let me say this, it does not mean that you should understand every little thing about blockchain. No, as long as you know where to use blockchain, you're done. And I was giving an example to Fenny, that there's a company which is exporting lobsters and shrimps to the US, right? And they attached a QR code and a blockchain to it. And when they exported it to the US, by looking at the QR code, you know that this shrimp was harvested about 6 days back in an Australian shore. And the minute you have that transparency, people are willing to pay you 20 to 30% more for the freshness. So should I have to know about blockchain fully? The answer is no. If I know where to use blockchain to drive my revenue up, my cost down, the UPS is also a great example. How can I go and use technology or data to drive my cost down? You're done. Right? You don't need to know R and Python and all that stuff. And then finally, be a good storyteller. It is important. Time has come up for us to stand up, sit in the desk in parallel with or in par with the CEO and have that conversation. So the new world is not about a big fish which is eating a small fish. It's about the fast fish which is eating the slow fish. And I also really liked what Firmansha said. Mr. Firmansha said that life is like cycling. You know, if you need to balance yourself, you need to keep on moving. And you have a huge amount of opportunity to think, contribute, and anything that you do has got mega impact. And today you are in a much better position than you were 20, 30 years back because of the tools that are there today to manage it. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Fenny. Thank you.
Thank you, Chari. Looks like you're the fast fish, right? You have answered most of the questions that I have for you. Okay, so I suppose that you have very good practical real life cases. You know, you're just making it more exciting for future accountants, even the current accountants, right? Some of them must have been missing out as well. So, but I think from the presentation, you've also demonstrated the fact that, you know, how accountants can create value, you know, simplification of process, you know, reduce duplication, cost savings. And you also talk about how accountants can actually play a more strategic role. And I think we'll come back on that, right? And you had a lot more, you know, data analytics, you know, transformation that's helping you to do that. So I'll come back on that and we'll deep dive about that. But before that, so I just wanted to have a follow-up question on good storyteller. Since you talk so much about good storyteller, right? I think that appears in 3 slides. What is actually stopping people from telling a good story?
Dr. V.
Yes. Dr. V. I'm sorry, Chari, you can have it, and then I'll Dr. V and Pat, do we have it? Yeah.
Yeah, Chari, you go first. I'll add it. No problems.
Okay. I think we have a tendency, and again, I am also a culprit, and I don't think I was great. At one point in time, to the board, my job was to show that I have so much of information. Right? The job is, so much of numbers in it that you literally get lost in that ocean. And we should start realizing that, look, here I am giving them most relevant piece of information. I've got a couple of slides. I'll show you relevant slides, which clearly says that what the issues are. And by just looking at the slide, they should be able to take a call. And instead of, throwing huge number of information into it, be relevant, be precise, and the slide, the caption in the slide should speak for itself that this is the action that you need. And that's a strategic move. Now, fundamentally, one is the way we've been trained is, show as many numbers as possible, give them as much data, not data, throw data. Number two is we are generally, the way we've been trained conservatively, we've been an introvert all the while. And I'm a culprit to it also. It took a while for us to sort of move from being an introvert to an extrovert, say that, look, we are confident enough to go and talk. So you get all this only when you get the business acumen. Do you understand the business? Are you getting closer to the business? Honestly, when I was in HP and I did 10 years of sales, because of the fact that I was out with some of the salespeople, 20 to 30% of the time I was out. To do my finance job better, I had to go out. And at one point in time, they said, can you go run sales? And I had 15,000 butterflies in my tummy, but still I did it. But I learned a lot in a way. So that's my 2 cents.
Just to echo that, I mean, what prevents us from being good storytellers? Remember one thing: we should be good storytellers. We shouldn't be telling stories just for the sake of saying so. Good storytellers in being able to explain the issue at hand. And it's about being an introvert versus an extrovert to some extent. And I've seen, we all have seen various friends of ours, people in our workplace. I've seen board presentations by staff in the particular listed company that I've sit on. And then I've seen presentations by consultants. And invariably, you see consultants who present this particular solution or they are proposing, obviously show you their marketing abilities, their sales abilities, and fundamentally, most of them are all accountants. But some of the internal people who serve on the company and the group finance manager and so maybe even a group tax manager are generally quiet. They speak only when spoken to, and they do not add in anything more. So this is a culture that perhaps exists in not all, but in some. So in some of the boards I sit in, I have been speaking out at board meetings to request internal management, in-house staff to please speak up. Please, you are here because we want to know your opinion. Let's not run to consultants every time we have a particular issue. So it's all about that. It's all about business. So giving them, I think it's about empowering, giving them the power and not expecting that the CEO or the CFO will explain everything, right? So it's empowerment. It's a bit of introvert character and traits as well as the extrovert. So I think fundamentally that's it. So we can tell stories, but sometimes we are too quiet, and therefore we tell a short story instead of a long story. And stories can be interesting, and that sometimes excites the people who are listening to you. So I think that's the way it should be. We should be doing a lot more interaction through that means. Fanny.
You're on mute.
Still mute.
Fanny, you're on mute. Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you. I think connecting the dots is really important, telling that story. And probably I pass on to Pak Dwi. You have any views on this?
Yeah, still based on my perspective, yeah, about how to creating future, yeah, as an accountant. So challenging for, especially for student, to become a new model of accountant. Yeah, we have access the information, we have knowledge. Yeah, I still thinking why not accountant to be as CEO. Yeah, accountant just like CFO, for example. Yeah, why? I thinking about that. Yeah, because maybe about our leadership, and also we have some information we can analyze. Yeah, we have a good analytical, but how we can influence, how we can persuasive. Yeah. By communicate. See Master Chari presentation. Looks like we see the accountant movie, Mr. Cherry. This is like the story in practical and some insight. Yeah. So this is our challenge. Yeah. Refers to Dr. V also. Yeah. About the brain gym and also the right gym. Yeah. Not only analytical but also the imagination. Yeah. How the meaning of the information. Yeah, we must also deep, yeah, deep analytical, and also we have the broad, yeah, the broad, we have understanding about the policy, the economics, and also how to translate, yeah, to the business information. Yeah, so don't worry about digitalization. Yeah, because we have experience, we have some understanding, yeah, the business models, yeah, and also behind the story, behind the data. Yeah, so this is very important, yeah, for the future of aspiring accountant, yeah, to combine, yeah, between technical skills and also soft skills, to mix, yeah, between brain gym and also right gym. Analytical is good, but there is if there is no imagination, there is no innovation. So we just give some data as usual. Yeah, the change is very rapid. Yeah, we don't know what will be for tomorrow. Yeah, today is tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. Yeah, how as accountant we can put it some, yeah, put it some information, some analytical, some communication skills, and also the one thing very important about the leadership, how we influence and also we lead, yeah, not only as followers. Thank you, Fanny.
I think the very one part that you really brought that up, I think to elevate the soft skills requirement and position ourselves as CEO, I think that's so important. And I'm so sure young aspiring accountants now, I think that's a lot of them being, entrepreneurial themselves, and they would have already, gone into that sort of skill sets. Now let me move on to the second broad theme, and I could combine that with the third theme that we want to talk about, digitization, as well as, but before that, we talk about COVID-19. How will actually COVID-19 change the purpose and the role of accountants? It has really hit, and also from your presentation earlier on, Mr. Chari, you talk about business model. So business model has really been disrupted. You have cash flow issue and so forth. But how would that actually change the role of accountants? Now we can touch this together with the next theme that we will talk about, digitization, data, and technology, because it all comes in together. Perhaps I get Mr. Chari to start with.
So this was a question that was raised about a couple of days back. What is your biggest reset after COVID? What is happening to you as finance professional? Clearly, what is happening is this, that all the while we've been kind of helping to run a business. And now our reset is around sustainability. How can I go and sustain myself? And many companies are suffering. Many companies are suffering. And so cash flow, bringing back your revenue, making some right kind of investments, trying to be a little more empathetic, going and talking to your customer, going and talking to your suppliers, whether you will get your supply or not. So suddenly the CEO is coming to you instead of you going to the CEO, right? And so that's the biggest reset for me, and I find in many companies that the CFOs or the finance community is being approached by the business community to say, hey, look, what if? So many times what we do is we do stress testing. Stress testing, the word stress testing is probably more Dr. V's vocabulary. You know, he sits in the board of a bank and all that stuff. Today, every company does stress testing. That can I tahan? Can I tahan for the next 3 months or 4 months or 5 months? My Malay is bad, so but just trying it. And so stress test is getting to be a lot more important, right? And business plans are getting shifted every 3 months or 4 months because things are changing so rapidly. MCO, no MCO, all that stuff, right? And so the role of finance community or the accounting community is getting even more important post-COVID.
Fanny, do you want me to?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm always on mute. Somehow rather, yeah. So yeah, you go ahead, please.
I think in regard to your question on how has COVID-19 changed things, and basically I think this pandemic has really created only one real important change, is that we've suddenly discovered the power of virtual meetings. And this is what has been the most tremendous change that COVID-19 has brought to us. And again, it's about creativity, how we came out, how various other players came out with the tools. The tools were already there, but some developed more tools, and we now have virtual meetings and online meetings, and it's now become a common, and that's going to be the new norm. And unfortunately, we may cut down travel in the future because we can now speak online, virtually, and so on. But does that change the nature of our work? It doesn't. It changes the scenario where we work, perhaps together with a team of people, now away from the team of people, but collaborating through technology. So that's been, to me, the most significant change. So it doesn't change the profession. It changes the way we carry out our tasks. That's all. Delivery. And so that's been the most significant. And digitalization and so on, certainly a no-brainer in the sense that it is affecting every particular sector. And I think tomorrow in Malaysia, we are announcing our 2021 budget, and we will see substantial allocations being made to push the economy towards the digitalized stage and trying to push our small businesses to become digitalized. One particular area that I noted during this particular pandemic is some of our small practitioners who run their small firms may not be fully appreciating the power of technology. And they may not have put all their data and digitalized their data, not using cloud services and so on, and are still stuck in the brick and mortar era, and in terms of keeping hard copies and so on and so forth. So they were caught out by this pandemic. But a number of the mid-size and the very large firms were able to do so immediately because they have used technology effectively over the years. And so that's why they can work from home, and they have no problems with this. So I think that's going to be one change that we will see. Those practitioners who are doing public practice will find that SMPs, especially the smaller businesses, will have to adjust and adopt this technology and cloud technology, which, by the way, already exists, but they just have to adopt this in their daily lives. And that's going to is the most significant change that is going to happen. And they can't avoid it. Everyone has to do it. So I think that's going to happen. And that's really the most significant thing for the accountants in that category. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. V. You're right. In fact, this COVID-19, the pandemic itself has accelerated the change. So those in a journey of transformation, whether you talk about technology, adoption and so forth, they're there. But it's just that, this has accelerated the change. So if I could turn to Pak Dwi, What were your observations?
Yes, accelerated change. Yeah, we see the transformation. Yeah, from uh, Revolution 4.0 to Revolution 5.0. Yeah, how the robotics digitalization still need human touch. Yeah, so this COVID-19 has accelerated that those all the change. Yeah, so we have challenge in medical. Yeah, but in the perspective of accounting, yeah, we have some positive, yeah, in our institute, yeah, IIA, yeah, managed by Bu Eli, yeah, the education, yeah, by digital system is very effective, yeah. We in Indonesia, the area is very huge area, yeah. So how we have the technology digitalization to connecting, yeah, not only for accountant, for student, yeah, of accounting, but also all our stakeholders, yeah, because our roles not only in business, as I mentioned before, but also the reform in government, yeah. So this COVID-19, yeah, this is like a new challenge for us, yeah, to adapt, yeah, with this kind of technology, but also how we can also reposition, yeah, because there is only shifting, yeah, there is some challenge in manufacture, transportation, but also there is some opportunity in the other area, yeah. So see some market leaders now, yeah, the corporation, yeah, the using of digitalization platform is very dominant, yeah. Uh, we cannot imagine before, yeah, one corporation they will become as the business leader for transportation, for example. This corporation they don't have the asset, yeah, but they have the system. So how, yeah, as aspiring accountant, we upgrade, yeah, we develop, yeah, our capability, yeah, to adjust with this kind of change impact by this rapid 19. So this is not only temporary change, but also like ongoing process change. So the accelerated is very key, yeah, for aspiring accountant to adjust, to acknowledge, yeah, and also to make the best connectivity and also the best sharing, yeah, for all accountant. So the gap, yeah, between the one country with another country becoming lower, yeah, because we have the similar challenge, we have the similar access. The important thing how we speed up, yeah, as professional accountant everywhere, yeah, we have the same situation and the same opportunity to moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dwi. I suppose it's the same like accountants, even the institute, we can facilitate finance literacy. But then again, some of the countries, as in Malaysia itself, we have digital literacy. So how do we, that as institute, could help aspiring accountants and provide that support, to achieve that? So through certification and so forth, I suppose that would really help. Now, just a follow up with Pak Dwi. Do you see from population-wise, accountancy students or aspiring accountancy students, are they more tech savvy compared to the general pool, of some other, students out in the university?
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah, there is some new skills, new knowledge that as accounting student they must learn, yeah, because not only as a bachelor or master degree, but also there is some certification program and also some specialists, yeah, not only as auditor, for example, but as forensic auditors, for example, and also digital, yeah, digital auditing is very important also. So EIE they have some program, yeah, not only for business and also for government, yeah, even for non-government, yeah, because there is some organizations, yeah, they need some services in accounting, yeah. So the higher education institution, we changed the curriculum, yeah, related to the international curriculum in International Federation of Accountants, yeah. So the involvement in our international professional accounting organization is very important. How we also change our standard, yeah, convergence with IFRS, yeah, and also IPSAS in public sector, yeah, international audit standard, and also international for supreme audit standard in government sector. So between the private sector and also the government sector is influence each other, yeah, because the good policy without good industry, there is not balance, yeah. How the government changing and also the business changing can balance. So the role as an accountant is very important to make some input, yeah, for policymakers, for government, for educators, yeah, and also what is the difference, yeah, our professional qualification compared to other, for example. I think our professional accountant have the strength in the information and also the analytical and also understanding about the whole business, yeah, the process business, the organization, the policy. We can collaborate with other professional, but we have the strength to provide some information, to make a good decision, and also to predict, yeah, the future of this changing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dwi. So let me move on to Mr. Chari. Digital tools. Oh, sorry, Dr. V, you like to add?
Oh, just to add a few things, if I may. I know we also now running out of time eventually, but this issue is about universities teaching, incorporating technology in their accounting programs, right? And number one, so at least the graduates are tech savvy when they come out in terms of how to use this in the various areas of the accounting that they study. The second aspect is really about professional bodies actually guiding their members and giving them the latest information in terms of new tools that exist in the market, because tools keep changing, tools keep evolving. So professional bodies have a role to sort of guide them along and share with them what's the latest. Not to say we propose a particular tool, but at least we inform and be aware. But it's also very important for some people or to perhaps look at the tools and suggest which is the better one. That's not for the professional body, but some people will come in to fill up that gap, because accountants out there will say, you need to tell me which one is useful. I cannot go around assessing every single product and test it, right? So there has to be a place for someone who can do that. And who else can do that except somebody who has got the accounting knowledge? Because we are looking at accounting technology as well. So I think it's a two-part. The universities actually sometimes may feel that they can teach everything to their students, but we know that that's difficult because so much more has come on board. So technology now is an important part of every subject in the university. So they need to ensure that aspects are also factored into the curriculum. So I think that's important for both sides, practitioners as well as aspiring accountants who are coming out of the universities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. V, for a view. So I suppose even the industry players out there, it's really important that, they engage with the institute and engage with the right, stakeholders to ensure that the environment itself is enabled, to adopt digital. Now, since we talk about digital tool and what are the relevant tools, maybe I move on to Mr. Chari. There's so many tools available, and every one of us get suddenly I use Zoom, suddenly I use Microsoft, Teams, I use so many. Yeah. So maybe in your view, which is the most relevant tools for aspiring accountants?
It's a very good question. It's easy
Difficult
to
one.
get down. It's easy to, sorry?
A difficult one.
I'm sorry, it's a very, no, honestly, we can get drowned into lots of tools. There are many tools. Every day, something or the other keeps coming up. Now, we should have a mindset to say that, look, where can I use this technology so that my revenue can go up, my cost can come down, productivity can come up. I'll give you a few examples, and again, this will hit hard. I am going via Penang Bridge. It's such a long Penang Bridge, right? Now, I can send 25,000 people across, down, up and down to check whether there is any corrosion or not. And that's what they do. Today, probably there are about 500 people who are going up and down to check whether the bridge is right or wrong. But if there is an IoT device, there's an IoT device coming from a company, and they can track if there is a crack, if there is a, so this is where, like, can I use this? Can I use some technology to drive away my inefficiency? Number two, I've got this company called Sime Darby. It's got 30 million palm trees. And I've got 66,000 people going around and checking whether the color of the leaf is green, yellow, whatever it is, based on which they need to add fertilizer. Now, again, there is an IoT device per cluster. It just collects all the data points and gets into a central knob. And this improves efficiency substantially. Right? Now, let's come into accounting field. These are business sides. Accounting. Microsoft was spending 16,000 man hours to do forecasting. Today, they spend less than 10 man days. Right? So essentially, the work should it be artificial intelligence or should it be a bot? All that stuff can be thought through. But fundamentally, where can I reduce the mundane work, give it to a machine? Somebody else will do it. But our job is to say, where can I use it? Right? Now, auditing. Today, there's nothing known as sample testing. What is sample testing? I've got 5,000 employees. I've got 7,000 suppliers. I want to match the bank account, the address, and all the stuff. We did it in 2 seconds because of big data, because of the computing power is so much. And then we found out that there are 7 players where the employee number, employee bank account, and the suppliers matched. And 4 of them were false alarm, 3 of them we fired. So fundamentally, the entire auditing function has now come into. So the question is, what technology, what tool do I use? Do I need to go to IBM? Do I need to go to Dell? All that is different. But our job is to say, look, where can I use technology or to solve a business problem? Right? Here is a business problem, then it gets automatically solved in a way. Now, we have about 2.5 million postpaid customers in Celcom. 2.5 million postpaids, which means that I have to send 2.5 million invoices every month, multiplied by 12. We're talking about 30 million calls, and we need to collect from 30 million times. We need to collect month after month after month. Now, should I have to put 200 people, or can I put 5 bots which will go and do the work? Now, the bot will come from the Capgeminis of the world, or Dells of the world, or the IBMs of the world, or HPs of the world. But our job is to say that, look, this is so mundane. Can I automate this piece? Can I digitize this piece? This is where Dewey was also saying, can I digitize it? So our job is to sort of bring that so-called scary technology into something that is tangible, that can drive incremental revenue, reduce costs, improve productivity, reduce fraud, big time fraud. Visa, if I can take just one more minute, I'll just give you this example. It's so powerful. Visa came to me about 8 years back and said that, look, Chari, whenever Fanny is your customer, let's say, Fanny is your customer, whenever Fanny goes out of the country, can you tell me? I said, what? It's a private data of hers and I won't tell you. No. She will sign up. She will say that you can give this information to me. And I said, okay, I'll give you. And he also said, I'll give you $1 for giving me this information. I said, okay, fine, I'll give this to you. But tell me, why do you want it? What he said was this. So this is profound. He says, look, every year we are losing about 700 million on credit card fraud. But the hypothesis is that if Fanny is in London and she swipes a card in London, the probability of this being a fraud is very little. However, if you tell me as a telco that Fanny is in London and she swipes a card in Jakarta, there's a fraud. And I stop. I have 750 million fraud. I want to bring it down to about 400, and this is where you can help me. 8 years back, Visa did it. Now, this is the power of data and using that data for practical purposes. I stop here. Sorry, I get.
Fanny is full of integrity.
No, you are okay.
Yeah, understand. Yeah.
I'm just saying that somebody uses your card. You want to catch it.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah. So that's a very good explanation, which means ultimately, Mr. Chari, it's all about fit for purpose. So if it's for business purposes, depending what type of business you're in, that particular tool will be applicable. And for accountants, again, like what you've just shared, right? Microsoft, less than 10 man days, to do forecasting. So I think it's important. The mindset here is about problem solving, right? Which I'll get back to that subsequently on the skills again or personal values, right? So problem solving is so important. People have to be nurtured, in order to think that way, in order to get the right tools to apply in a business as an aspiring accountant and so, right? Yeah. So let me move a little bit further to skills and competencies, and maybe this is, close to Pak Dui's heart as well. Probably what I wanted to ask is, I think you talk about digital, I understand that, but how do you actually instill, or rather nurture the professional accountants? For example, how do you manage your ecosystem, like government ministry, academics, institution of higher learning, influence, get them involved, in like what Dr. Virendrajit earlier pointed out, put that in the syllabus. How do you go about doing that and get them see the importance? Sorry, you're muted.
Okay, thank you, Fanny. Okay, so in our 6.1 initiative, one of the initiative is how to communicate with the stakeholders. So because our stakeholders is very diverse, from the policymakers, professional, academician, business players, and also the bureaucracy, or the government itself. So how we communicate is very important. So we must translate from accounting term to become as what people understanding about that kind of relevant information, for example. Because all the government and also the business is always based on the financial information. And then now based on the financial reporting, not only financial, but also some relevant information, to make a decision. So the environment has changed, and also the landscape has changed, the digitalization, So how we put all that thing, to relevant to all stakeholders. What is relevant to the government for decision maker, for budget analysis, how this is relevant for the university, because this is not only for accounting, but also relevant for the university itself, and also the role of the accounting department to others faculty, is also important, because this kind of reposition as aspiring accountant, we must understanding better about the business. We must understanding better about the system. So the accounting is only part of, but very key, to accelerate and also to leverage, some decision. So we have also some compartment, management accountant, public practice accountant, auditors, and also academician. So how we can also communicate with each other. At least there is no gap between the academic curriculum and the practical. The practical is very fast, how we can adjust, with that kind, with this forum, communication, and also some we make some technology access, so our standard of accounting, free access, for members, for students, as long as they become as our members, So this is part of the up-to-date, day-to-day up-to-date, we update and we put it in our system, and everyone can access. Yeah, and we have also give some program, yeah, in IIA, like IIA Knowledge Center. Yeah, not only in Jakarta but also in every province. Yeah, because this accounting reform transformation also in our government. There is many government entities, yeah, also to the cities and also even village, and all must have the accountability, yeah, in financial perspective and also in performance, yeah. So our program, our social program, even, yeah, to communicate, yeah, in the center of the government and business industry, and also for small medium enterprises, and also from not only central government but also province and others government. So the answer is technology. Yeah. So how we can develop, yeah, good system with the easy to access, yeah, and also we make some knowledge sharing, not only with seminar but also with video, yeah, with some visualization to make easy, yeah, to understand, yeah. So the quality and the value of our contribution is about the value of how we can transform, yeah, this data, this information, this knowledge, yeah, to all our stakeholders. So the change must in all ecosystem, yeah, not only in our provision. This is my perspective. Thank you.
A great sharing, Pak Dwi. I can sum up to say that, you know, we must be seen as an important part of the ecosystem. We also create an enabled environment and empower students especially to gain the knowledge, right, and the skill set. Dr. V, is there anything you'd like to share before I moved on? Sorry, you're muted.
Basically, what has been shared is relevant to all of us. So I think I'm fine with the. Please proceed with the next question.
Yeah. So I think now I wanted to kind of focus on trust and integrity. There's this growing need, right, on trust, to focus and then refocus on ethical behavior in the stakeholder society. I think I want to pick up one particular question from the participants here. That actually, let me read out the question, right? How can we continue to build public trust towards our profession, especially in an environment where professionals are expected to adapt to constant changes that are changing the way we live, deliver our services and our values? Even more so when there are still perceptions that our profession is considered to be old and conservative. Anyone like to take this question first? Any attempt?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Now maybe let me try that. I think the issue is fundamentally, when you look at accountants, and I'm just using an example of auditors. When you are auditing financial statements, you're actually presenting an opinion on the financial statements so that the shareholders will have comfort that the financial statements are prepared in accordance with IFRS and so on and so forth, and various other local standards, right? So that is an element of trust. And if you don't deliver that properly and in line with expectations, in line with the regulations, then trust suffers. You may have situations where some of the accountants or auditors may be subject to some legal disputes. You may also have a situation where a practitioner may not have ethically delivered a piece of service. So we have ethics guidelines, ethics rules, and then you have the regulatory body, which then gets a complaint, and then we have to monitor and investigate that particular complaint. So that is what we need to do in terms of building trust. The regulatory body has to take its steps to investigate, decide, and pass judgment on a particular matter, and then deliver a particular punishment if necessary under the laws. And that's probably how you monitor the application of ethical rules. But the other side of it is that in everything that we do, including our continuing professional development, including various other sessions that we have as a professional body with our members, I think we cannot run away from the fact that the ethical mindset is crucial to an accountant, not only to an accountant, to actually to any other profession. We're not saying that ethical mindset is only the purview for accountants. It's for all professions. So we need to inculcate that value. So to me, very importantly, anyone who chooses to move into the accountancy profession through the university program, through the professional program that they undertake, will have to go through an ethical aspect as well. And we all have ethics and so on, but there's so much we can do. The rest of it is about society expecting you to behave properly. And this is where sometimes things go wrong. Parts of society expect you to behave differently. And the accountant has to stand up and say, I'm governed by ethical rules and I have to do it this particular way and so on. So the profession has to ensure that they deliver this particular trust in the effective manner. So it cannot be that I am a practitioner, I am serving my client, and I will do everything that the client wants, even though it may mean it's breaking the law. That's out of the question. And I do think that there are accountants like that in some countries. In many countries, there are some small number of accountants who do anything. But the ethical aspect is the mindset is what we need to inculcate. I know many of us will say the mindset is already there, brought up through upbringing, but universities need to reinforce. The professional bodies need to reinforce. The continuing professional development needs to reinforce. So I think that is extremely important. And in that manner, that is how the professional body and at large can continue to build trust. But more importantly, sometimes we don't share this with the public. We may not share what we are doing as a professional body, and we may need to do that because that's probably the role of the professional body as well, the role of a regulatory body, to continue to tell society that we are the guardians and we will ensure that where relevant, there is a complaint, we will handle this in accordance with our rules. So if once you establish that and you are continually focused on that, society becomes more aware and society will slowly condition itself to expect accountants to behave ethically and not expect them to bend the rules. So I think it's a long process and we have to keep doing it, and that's the way we'll do it. But accountancy is not conservative. I think we all know that accounting is seen to be conservative, largely because we look at numbers and therefore we give an opinion. That's got nothing to do with, and we need to debunk this interpretation, right? That accountancy is conservative. It's not conservative, it is realistic. And it really is giving you an opinion in accordance with the law, with the regulations, with the standards, and that's really realism. And to ensure that the capital markets that we serve are confident that the accountants, the CFOs who are passing judgment, or the auditors are actually competent and ethical, and we trust them. So it's a multiple ways in which you need to build that trust. So I hope I haven't confused everybody, but really that's how we need to do this. Thank you, Penny.
Thank you, Dr. V. That's very good that you say that we're not conservative, we are realistic. I suppose that at the end of the day, societal awareness is important as what you put it, because we have, our role in public interest, right? So we have to protect again the capital market, what we play our role as an accountant. Now, just to Mr. Chari, a very quick one. Does technology blur the line of ethics? I think that's a popular question. Again, it's not a hard one for you, I hope.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It is scary what it can do, honestly. With the amount of information that they have, Google has every little area or places that I've gone. the last 20 years, whatever. They just track every single minute. So the information is available and how they use it is important. But there are enough number of regulations today, PDPA, whatever it is, to manage and control that piece. Now, in as much as you have lots of plus points, there are also one or two negative points, for example. The cybersecurity is a major threat for any organization. So we are pretty worried about it, although technology is powerful and it can also get powerful in a negative way, for example. Right? Now, tomorrow's war as a part of digitization will not be fought with AK-47 anti-ballistic missiles and guns and tanks and all that stuff. It will be through cyber war. And so even there is digitization happening, as Padri said. Everywhere digitization is happening. So I think so this is a great question, honestly, and I present a number of papers on purpose-driven leadership. Now, Dr. V spoke about audit, regulators, and all this stuff. And I want to take 2 minutes to talk about the impact of management team and the board driving bad decisions for the sake of meeting KPIs. And to me, that is an ethical violation. MAX 737, Boeing, is a classic example where somebody did not want to lose an order, they took a shortcut. Volkswagen pulled 11 million cars from the public because they went and cheated the emission tests. Enron case, we know what had happened with respect to Enron. Pharmaceutical companies, some of them, just jack up the prices for the sake of making profit. And we've done about 2 workshops with MIA. It's very well received, honestly. And Dr. Nomazila, who's the CEO of the company, is so passionate about it. So fundamentally, it is not just the auditor's role, but it is also the management role as well as the board's role. Now, the quarterly pressure around going to the stock exchange and reporting the results, huge amounts of salary, especially in the US, $128 million for 1 year salary for one person. All that will have to be rethought through very carefully so that we can avoid some of these pitfalls.
Yeah, thank you. I'm quite mindful of time. I think we only have like 5 minutes, but I'm so sure we can extend another 5 minutes. Let me just move on a bit on the role of accountants, especially in in a sustainable organization. Obviously, accountants have to be better corporate citizens too, right? And the fact that there's so much role that you can play as an aspiring accountant. If I could call Pak Dwi to share what are some of the roles that you see is relevant in this to ensure sustainability of an organization?
Yes. This kind of sustainability is not part of the global moving about the sustainable development goals. Yeah. So if what is the purpose? Yeah. The balance between profit, planet, and people. Yeah. How we contribute. Yeah. The organization to the society, to the environment. Yeah. So how as profession we can capture that kind of information in our reporting, with disclosure, there's also some regulation, to make sure that the profitability also not only about the bottom line, we must have the accountability, how our business to manage our business, and also to give some responsibility to our stakeholders. So our sustainable reporting and also some initiative to make sure this is not only in the report, but also related to our integrity. We provide not only reliable and relevant, we must provide the integrity of the information. So the integrity of the information also must relevant to all the stakeholders, to all the not only the going concern of the entities, yeah, but also the going concern of the people, the going concern of the society. This is thinking, yeah, shift our thinking, not in for short term, but for the long term, yeah. So this is very important, our role for society and also for environment accountability. Thank you, Van.
Okay, probably I would need to move on to what are because we talk about opportunities, right? Maybe we could hear from you what are some of the challenges facing aspiring accountants, and again, what are the markets holding the greatest prospect and potential for aspiring accountants in ASEAN? Perhaps I start with Dr. V.
Yeah, this we all know that future accountants obviously. You see, there's a number of terms we used in this particular panel. Versatility, right? We all have to be accountable. We all have to be transparent. We talk about just now expressive marketing ability. We also need to be thinkers. We need to have creativity. We need to have agility. Then also remember, we also now need to have the general knowledge. So when Pa was talking about the sustainable development goals, nowadays you find all the young graduates coming out of university actually are more well aware of the climate change and issues, right? So therefore, the professional bodies, practitioners who are already there, who are the older ones, also need to be able to catch up and be aware of the latest things. So if you look at the kind of challenges that we have, is that if we assume that we can be flexible, agile, and so on, actually, I mean, but bear in mind, those of us who have been practicing in the past and who are practicing now have actually been agile, have actually been flexible, have actually adapted, have actually picked up many things. And we have been able to achieve all this. So these are not new to the accountancy world. It's new in terms of having focus sessions, and we talk about all this, and then suddenly we say, are we able to meet the challenges? We've always been able to meet the challenges. I have no doubts about this. It's just a question of making sure we do not get lost in assuming that things will not change, that this is the only way to do things. And COVID has given us a classic reminder that life keeps changing and sometimes drastically, but we have to keep delivering. So I think there is a big future for accountants, and you can keep ahead of this in terms of keeping up to date, up to touch. Universities' programs need to be more agile, and I think in the context of ASEAN, you'll find that within ASEAN, we are trying to achieve this ASEAN CPA qualifications that we have. And the ability of all our ASEAN CPAs to be mobile, to cross over into the ASEAN area and able to deliver services seamlessly is something that may not be achievable immediately, but it's something we hope to achieve. But we must remember that the fundamentals must all be there among the accountants. It's just that you have local regulations to provide, to fulfill. But I see no problems. The only challenges here are keeping up to date and willing to keep up to date. And that's what CPD is all about, continuing professional development. But very importantly, the professional bodies need to ensure that the CPD programs are really tweaked so that it is up to date. And we are not teaching the old stuff. We are keeping up to date. So to me, opportunities are there, will always be there. It's a question of how we are going to mold ourselves and take those opportunities. So to me, very great future. The future CV of an accountant, for example, will also have to have a component on their ability to deal with technology and their awareness of technology, and how versatile they are in terms of using technology. So these tools will be taught in universities, will be picked up in your workplace, and so on. So you have to have that ability. So the future CV has to have a clear line reflecting that I've had got the experience and the knowledge of the latest technological tools that is relevant in the field of accountancy. So other than that, I see great opportunities, good challenges, and we all have the fundamentals to be able to meet those challenges and take on the opportunities.
Great thoughts. Yeah, great thoughts, Dr. Virendrajit. I hope that, aspiring accountants are taking down notes. Mr. Chari, to you.
I think Dr. V covered them all very nicely, and is obviously very articulate. The only one thing that I would like to add to what he said is we need the challenges is suddenly you have so much of information, right? There's so much of information, and how do I go and narrow that down to what is relevant and what is not relevant? You get distracted substantially compared to what it was. Like I didn't have a TV at home. To today, you have every second I've got 15,000 messages flowing into my handphone. So that's a kind of a change that we are seeing. And how do I still stay focused? How do I still stay relevant? And how can I go and add value to the organization that I'm working for? And these are going to be very important. So don't get distracted. That will be a challenge in a way. And if you stay focused, you've got so much of information that you can pick the relevant ones and make a difference and add value to the organization that you're working. And this is probably, as I fully agree with Dr. B, that this is probably the greatest opportunity and for them to go and do well and contribute.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chari. Pak Dwi,
Yes.
Any concluding thoughts?
Yeah, I will again ask who we are, as aspiring professional accountant. So we must have the identity, The Indonesian Institute of Accountant, we have developed the Chartered Accountant of Indonesia, who recognized by the International Organization Professional. So as a professional accountant, we have identity as aspiring accountant. This qualification is very, very long journey to develop. Not only from the university, we have some exam, to become as a professional accountant in ethics, in leadership, governance, and also some kind of management accounting, financial accounting, and also finance, etc. After that, we have to apply, our this kind of to become as accountant practice, So how we can explore our qualification and also adapt with this kind of changes, and also still make and create the values, the values. Thinking is good, but our heart is also very, very important, to be honest, to make some advice, not only for the short term, please thinking our stakeholders, make people proud with us. Welcome to the professional aspiring accountant. This is a very, very golden era for the young accountant for the next year. We as the pioneer, to develop some kind of new landscape, new knowledge, new thinking, and new roles of accountant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we have already come to the close of this session. And I think we hear great opportunities lie ahead for aspiring accountants. With technologies, data, I think aspiring accountants are even more empowered to be, strategic leaders to provide direction, right? So I think mindset, willingness to learn and even adapt is really key. And again, I think you all hear from all of them about good storyteller. Your role is crucial, whether in social cause, sustainability, and be creative in problem solving. I think that's really important. But the other thing I think we need to understand that in accountancy, continuous learning is really key. But we call it lifelong learning. We'll continue to do that. But fundamental values of accountant needs to be preserved. And that's trust and integrity. So with that, I thank all the panelists for their great sharing. I think they have already shared enough wisdom. And to all the participants for questions and attention. So over to you, Monica, and terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Van, Dr. V, Pak Dwi Setiawan, Mr. Chari. Thank you for sharing your thought and valuable time with us here for the aspiring professional accountants wherever you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you again that the closing ceremony of APAFest 2020 will be held in November 10, 2020. It's a joint session with FinBiz 2030, Better Leadership, a Better Future. I really suggest you to register yourself on that event, because we will also announce the winner for every competition in APAFest 2020. It was a long journey indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to also remind you that on Saturday, we will have a webinar with BDO in Indonesia, Career Development Strategy for Professional Accountant in COVID-19, Unleash Your Potential, Achieve your success with BDO in Indonesia, and also meet and greet Bapak Isnaini Ahdiat, pencipta lagu Akuntan Mengabdi. Jadi jangan kemana-mana, don't go anywhere. Join us on Saturday event. Like I promise you that to download the e-certificate, you are required to join our survey and fill the right keyword. The right keyword for the survey is ASEAN Federation of Accountants. Okay, I repeat again. The right keyword for the survey is our strategic partner, ASEAN Federation of Accountants. Next, we will move on to the announcement of semifinalists of National APA Award 2020 and the finalists of APACHEM 2020. The first finalist is Chatra Wiyasa. Second, Enigma. Next, Goodwill Accountants. Next, Laren. And the last but not least, Teamwork. Let's give big round of applause for our 5 finalists of APACHEM 2020. Good luck on your final round. So let's have another winner for APACHEM 2020. Next, let's see the semifinalists of National APA Award 2020. Congratulations to all of you. Good luck for your final round. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all. That's the end of our webinar this afternoon. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for always being here with us. Hope to see you again on next webinar. I'm Monica Nabilia. Bye-bye.
Gabung Brevet Pajak IAI, pilihan tepat untuk Anda. Pelatihan Brevet IAI, ahli pajak, bedah substansi, temukan solusi. Kenapa memilih IAI? Modul yang selalu update dan materi yang dilengkapi dengan pembahasan studi kasus komprehensif. Instruktur yang terjaga kompetensinya, berpengalaman, dan tentu saja profesional. Apa aja yang didapat kalau belajar pajak? Sudah pasti, kita jadi tahu seluk-beluk perhitungan pajak. Menjadi kuasa hukum perpajakan mewakili perusahaan, meningkatkan karir dan menunjang profesi. Kalau ingin menjadi konsultan pajak, belajar brevet pajak juga bisa sebagai langkah persiapan USKP. So, banyak kan manfaat belajar brevet pajak? Sebagai benefit tambahan, IAI melaksanakan program kuliah umum perpajakan dengan menghadirkan narasumber dari praktisi dan profesional di bidang perpajakan. IAI juga melaksanakan gathering alumni brevet untuk senantiasa mengupdate informasi perpajakan. Kalian juga tidak perlu bingung, karena IAI menyiapkan berbagai pilihan waktu belajar, jadi dapat disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan. Bagi teman-teman mahasiswa, IAI juga memberikan harga khusus mahasiswa aktif. Selama pandemi, IAI juga tetap hadir dalam pelatihan brevet pajak secara virtual dengan menggunakan platform Microsoft Teams. Hal ini juga memungkinkan untuk dapat diikuti oleh peserta dari seluruh Indonesia. Dan untuk diketahui, pelatihan brevet pajak terapan IAI juga diperkuat dengan MOU antara IAI dan Direktorat Jenderal Pajak. IAI juga memiliki kompartemen akuntan perpajakan. Yang salah satu kegiatan rutinnya adalah menyelenggarakan regular tax discussion yang mengupas isu perpajakan terkini. Pelatihan brevet IAI hadir di 6 knowledge center di Jabodetabek. IAI Knowledge Center Menteng, Moy, Serpong, Kedoya, Fatmawati, dan Sumarekon Bekasi. Selain itu, dengan standarisasi nasional, pelatihan brevet IAI juga hadir di beberapa IAI wilayah di Indonesia. Nah, jadi tunggu apa lagi? Ayo segera daftar pelatihan brevet pajak terapan IAI. Pelatihan brevet IAI, ahli pajak, bedah substansi, temukan solusi.